Well, thank you. Welcome once again to Where Are They Now? And as we've been previewing, Tom Holliday, former Cowboy head coach here, and he's had a big resume, longtime pitching coach, and has been in baseball most of his life, maybe 90% of his life, playing or coaching. But it's coming off, I would think, Tommy, one of the more unique coaching chapters in your life. You were the skipper over the Tulsa Drillers in the Texas Collegiate League. What was that like?
Well, it was absolutely different. And, when I got the phone call and asked me about doing it and all the details that go into Collegiate Summer League, I was hoping it was the Tulsa Drillers, trying to start up their AA team again. But, the conversation was just really explaining what's involved. And 5 minutes later, the guy calls me back and says, well, you're the guy we want. I didn't know they were going to do it for sure. I thought they were exploring the idea of doing it. But at that time, everybody in the world, in the baseball world, sitting around saying, we got to have baseball, man. Somebody's got to be brave and stupid at the same time and go try it. And, say, yeah, I'm kind of, brave, kind of stupid. And, the idea, after I listened to it, kind of settled in. And I had just gotten the word about a week earlier that we weren't going to have our Cape Cod team. And that hurt because we did everything we could to save Cape Cod. And Major League Baseball wanted Cape Cod because it's the stomping grounds for their scouts for the next draft. Well, the draft got screwed up this year, a five-round draft. Another lousy decision by a lousy commissioner. And so, you got the whole baseball world confused right now. And so the idea of having a summer team kind of turned me on. And, I've been keeping all the rules and everything, and I couldn't imagine wearing a mask in 98 degrees. But, what the heck, why not? I'll try it. So we did, and I got after my team that I had going to the Cape. I got about maybe 80% of them, 75%. And then the other 25% local guys that may not have been quite on your list to go to Cape Cod. The guys are going to be decent drafts. But, again, a lot of local guys that it panned out being really good friendships. And so the team was good. At one time we were loaded. And I say that because over the 6-week period, if any kind of a small injury crept up, coaches were saying, come on home. And, the bad rap on today's athletes about being soft, these kids are soft. I don't buy that. And if anybody would ever told me that my kids were soft, I'd have punched them in the face. And, quite frankly, I don't believe it. But, to bring a kid home with a sore forearm, that's not good. You're not teaching a kid anything. We're not going to hurt anybody. We're going to milk them through it. But all in all, when the summer ended, we played for the championship. We had to go play on the road, which, again, we played at Bryan, Texas, where the 4 umpires lived 5 miles from each other. And
that one where the mayor was about.
Well, no, the mayor was in Victoria, Texas, and Texarkana was a local bartender. But the bottom line is the only disappointing thing was the umpiring in the league. And for the most part, you just got to go out and play and beat them up, But it was more of a pitching league, and pitchers were way ahead of the hitters because of the layoff since March. But all in all, it was a good experience. 6 weeks, Tommy, we had 0 guys test positive.
I think that may be the biggest thing that came out of this because not everybody in that league could say that.
No, and there were some teams that had a lot of problems with it. But I think the fact that the way the general manager in Tulsa put them up at the DoubleTree, 2-door room, we brought them their breakfast to the room. We did things where they didn't have to go out. Their post-game meals were all packaged up, so they didn't have to have anybody serving them. And they did a really good job of keeping those small hints that we've been given by the president. And I don't think once you start playing a baseball game outside, you're going to get the virus. I think it may be some person that comes down to shake your hand or hug you after the game that could spread it. Well, we kept those rules too. We allowed nobody in our clubhouse. And we had a lot of people show up that were friends. We just, we'd say hi to them and, just fake fist them, instead of, giving them. But the kids did a wonderful job of quarantining themselves. So It was fun. It was successful. Got to see a lot of good players. And, now you turn your shirt over to another color, and as a scout, I got to see a lot of good guys, guys I would draft next year really high.
Now, one of the things that you brought up in a conversation we had last year about your position as at the Cape, number one, but also doing some of the TV broadcasts for Oklahoma State, you got a chance to see a lot of the players that scouts were interested in. Thus, your phone rang a lot. Was the same thing here? Was the caliber of competition good enough for the scouts in this league?
Well, I'll tell you this: when it actually, spread, when it hit the internet world, that the Texas Collegiate League was going to add 4 new members, and they were all going to be AA affiliates. Certainly, the fields all jumped up. You can get to play in AA ballparks, and then some of the kids that were sitting back saying, "I want to play. I want to play." You mean to tell me that he's going to run the team there? I'll bet you probably as soon as I got half the team done, my phone rang off the hook. And friends in the coaching world saying, "Tom, you really going to do this?" Yeah, but I need good players. I don't need your guys you just want to get some at-bats. And now that there was a 5-round draft, I want those kids that were 6th to 10th rounders that now have something to prove. Well, college coaches had a little gamble going on then, because then they had a chance to lose them for $20,000.
Yeah.
So I wanted kids playing to try to earn money. I wanted them to try to play up to get signed. And then, of course, I got some guys that are going to be big-time players down the road from friends that said, "Hey, this guy didn't really finish his freshman year. He only got 10 innings. Take this guy." Well, then they show up and they're throwing 95, 97. One of them showed up hitting 100. First pitch count of his hand was 100 mile an hour. And I'm sitting there going, "Holy cow, these guys are pretty good." And so it proved out that way, and it was tough on the hitters because there was a lot of really good arms. And, did you complete a freshman's freshman year this summer? Pretty close. I mean, 6 weeks of intense baseball. We played 30 games in 33 days. So they got a little bit of minor league. They got wooden bat. They got some hard travel. They had to deal with bad umpires, which is part of it. And bottom line was, it was really a good baseball experience. And, the competition, it was worth your nickel to go down there and watch a ball game.
We talked about this on the TV side, and, of course, our listeners would be interested in bringing it back to Oklahoma State. But in general, in your opinion, did everybody go back to their campus better than they were when they reported to Tulsa? And number 2, take us through the Oklahoma State contingent coming back to Josh.
Well, the players that played, and again, you learn from experience, and I didn't want 15 position players to be thinking they were all going to start. Mm-hmm. So I had an extra infielder that was told he was the extra infielder. I had an extra catcher. He was told he'd be an extra catcher. And I had a couple extra outfielders. They were told that. And certainly when a guy goes 0 for 12, that extra outfielder thinks, "Well, why didn't you just give me a chance?" Well, I did. Mm-hmm. When I felt like a kid was wearing down or beating himself up because he wasn't hitting, I took him out, gave him a break. That's why I had the extra players. So those extra guys may not have got the full summer of experience that they would like to have had. But I think all the other guys, the guys that got 75, 80, 90 at-bats, they finished out their season, their college season. And I didn't get any complaints from anybody. And in fact, I had a couple guys say, "Boy, I wish I'd have known. I would have sent you this guy or that guy." And guys like that's the guys I took from Oklahoma State. When the league started, it was a 4-man rule. You can only take 4. Well, 2 weeks in, they opened it up because some of the teams in the South were having a hard time getting players because they got the virus. So they opened it up, and like A&M, that team in College Station had 9 A&M players. Well, that's okay because that made that team pretty good. Well, we had, 5 or 6 Oklahoma State kids.
We ended up with 6 when you count Gardner late.
Yeah, Gardner for the last 2 weeks. But guys like Cabanis, Cabanis continues to prove to me that you give him a wooden bat and give him a couple weeks, he's going to swing a wooden bat. At times, I still feel like he swings wood better than he does aluminum. Maybe because he's so big and strong. I don't know. The weighted bats right now are different, and But I tell you one thing, at the end, he's swinging a wooden bat like a man. You know, Max Hewitt, I think, finished the conversion into a catcher. You know, he had caught like 10 games for Josh in the first 18, and he was headed in the direction of being their catcher. Well, he ended up beating out 2 pretty darn good catchers. I mean, I had the 3 best throwing catchers I've ever had in my career on this team in Tulsa, and he ended up taking the job and being the everyday catcher. And
he's such a likable guy.
Yeah,
Man.
Just a wonderful kid. But again, this is like playing minor league ball. So you're asking questions like, you know, why did you throw that pitch? You know, and think about doing this, because he had to catch 20 different arms.
Oh, man.
And 20 different versions of good stuff.
Did you call pitches?
A little bit at the end, you know, not at the beginning. I wanted him to learn how to do it, most of them. And actually, I had 2 or 3 guys say, Coach, I'd rather you call my pitches. My coaches do it, and I feel more comfortable not making pitching decisions. A little bit unique, because a lot of guys in our business don't like to call pitches because, again, if you call the wrong pitch, who do you blame it on? You know, and it comes back to you. And you like to let kids learn how to call their own game, because they're going to pro ball. That's what it's going to be. Minor leagues, they don't call it for you. So kids are a little bit accustomed to that. So I had 2 or 3 guys that liked that. But for the most part, the 2 arms I had, both were big. Kel Davis, again, I think he's a man. I think he has to improve his stamina a little bit. You know, right now he's like a 3-inning guy, and then he drops off. But remember, these guys were shut down in March.
Right.
Then they had to turn it back up again. Osmond, I thought, you know, he had thrown when the season ended, like on a regular basis, and he was dominant. And, you know, his slider turned into an unhittable slider. His fastball was 93, 95, touched 96. I mean, every time he went out. And to me, consistency is important if you're going to be a Friday night guy. And
Tell me the story
those 2
about,
guys should be really good.
You know, you can't master pitch number 3 unless you got 2 down. You can't get 2 to 1. Tell me about his, because didn't you put 1 pitch of his on the shelf?
Yeah, and maybe this is just from doing this for so long, but you look at an 18, 19-year-old stud, and you know, you say, hey man, tell me about your stuff, and they say, well, I got a pretty good fastball. My slider's okay. My curveball's too soft. My changeup's pretty good. And I'm sitting there going, you're 19 years old. You're trying to conquer 4. Mm-hmm. So tell me, you got the best hitter in the league to get out. What are you going to get him out with? Well, I mean, I'd probably try my fastball, but I don't know. Well, when you don't know what your second best pitch is, you got a problem. And the problem is, develop the second pitch before you worry about the third. Take care of the third pitch before you worry about the fourth. And when I say worry about it, if you can't throw a pitch for a strike 70% of the time, it's not a good pitch. Mm-hmm. Now, when you get these so-called young phenom kind of guys, because college baseball is doing a great job of bringing them in, if you want to create confusion and teach them 4 pitches and have 2 of them be horrible, and where they just trust 2 of them, then you're creating confusion that keeps them from reaching their potential. And you know, I look at the Cavalli kid this year down at OU.
Yeah, you told me about him initially.
I saw 2 years of total confusion with him. A guy that just showed you great potential. Then all of a sudden, this year, he shrunk it down through 3 pitches, and they were all 3+ pitches. He dominates. He goes in the first round of the draft. Yeah. And again, with the way Major League Baseball is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody doesn't sneak him up there the last couple of weeks. I mean, he was that good. And he doesn't have to go to the minor leagues and pitch bad. He can get out of this developmental team that they have right now and just pitch good there and say, somebody wake up and say, he's better than what we got in the big leagues. Boom, he's in the big leagues.
You mentioned Gardner late, and then we'd be remiss if we didn't close out with Morrill. He had a good summer for you.
Yui, I think, has established himself as a guy that can really play shortstop. And again, when you go from wood back to aluminum, back to wood, last summer in the Cape, when he put wood in his hands, he just hit line drives everywhere. Never thought about hitting a home run. I think this summer, a year older, a year stronger, and all that time from March till June, I think Yui was kind of bent on trying to hit home runs. And I think you and I have talked maybe off the air, but I'm not a fan of this new swing thing. You know, I think that this uphill swing is terrible. And I think Yui went home and got a little bit too much into that. trying to hit home runs. It took about maybe 3 weeks this summer to try to get him back to normal, to where he just hit that line drive to right center, hit that line drive left center, and never fails. As soon as he did, he hit a long home run. Then he goes back into a home run swing for a couple weeks. He'll get that out of him. But I think Huey Morrow's got a chance to be a top of the line college guy and a really good pro.
That's a good update there. And in the time we have left, I mean, I can't wait to get you into the subject of Major League Baseball. I mean, it seems like right now it's about as strange as I have ever seen it. It's what it is, so I'm not complaining literally, but what's your take on where we are right now with the MLB?
Well, I think there was a lot of panic going on. I think everything that was being said before they just shut it down was dangerous, because it's like everything. Everybody had an opinion.
Right.
And we got a commissioner that, in my opinion, is weak anyway. And he's been after change. His middle name is Change. So he wants to change things. So now he gets his toy, and whoever his sounding board is in the front office of baseball, they're sitting around like, okay, instead of playing extra innings, let's just put a runner at second with nobody out in the 10th inning.
What was your thought when you?
Well, I had to deal with that this summer. That's a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Because if it's a good hitter, then you don't move him to third. If it's a bad hitter, you want to move him to third or steal third. Take your shot at it. I mean, it's a different element. It does make the manager have to manage a little bit. But in the big leagues, I mean, is big league baseball broken? I mean, all the millions and billions of dollars, do we really need to go to a runner at second to start the extra inning? And trust me, that's not the only change that this guy has made that has been controversial. But the fact that we played in front of 5,000 last Friday night, 6,000 last Saturday night, and we have nobody in the big league ballpark. You mean to tell me you can't trust the fans to sit 2 seats apart? They did it down at One Oak. I mean, so major leaguers are playing baseball right now in front of nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, I admire
cardboard cutouts.
Well, I admire that. I think that's wonderful. The cardboard cutouts, the sound effects on the loudspeaker. But these are big leaguers. I mean, they need to feed off of that, And again, some of the ideas of, like, why is there no AAA baseball right now? What's going on there? I mean, so if 11 guys from the Cardinals come down sick, they should go get 11 off this so-called developmental team.
The alternate training site is what it's called.
Yeah, and I noticed that this morning, and I just laughed. I said,
they don't bring people up there.
Why are they not playing AAA baseball? Everybody has enough to put a AAA team together. Everybody. I mean, the whole minor league system's been shut down. And why is that? I think
Money.
the guy's destroying baseball. He's not recreating it. He's destroying it. And why? Because he's letting football concepts leak into baseball. Football doesn't have minor leagues. They have a taxi squad. Maybe we got to look at that. It'll cut down all the salaries we're paying minor leaguers. Tommy, there's minor league stadiums in this country, in cities that live off of that income, that are shut down. I mean, that's wrong. Now, that goes along with the politics of this year, the election year. So, again, I'm not a fan of the commissioner. If he was sitting here right now, I'd love to get after it with him, because I don't think baseball is broken, and he's treating it like it is, and I think that's wrong. What
do you see next year from the draft? I mean, you've heard all kinds of stories that it may go to 10 rounds, may go to 12 or 13. But I'm not real smart, but if you're not replenishing your stock of talent every year, and yes, I understand if you sign 30 and you get 2, that's a success. But are they taking steps back now if they continue this reduced draft?
Well, for one thing, the draft next year will be better than this year, because all those kids in the 6th and 10th rounders, those are good players. You know that there was a study that there's more big leaguers in the big leagues that signed between the 6th and 10th round than there are that signed between the 1st and the 5th.
Really?
How about that
I could see that, though.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, it's kind of unusual, but we took out the heart of the draft by going to 5 rounds. Now, you don't know what it's going to be next year. It's not been announced. So you have all those kids to go in the draft. You let them repeat their year in school. So 22-year-olds are going to think, well, I'm still a junior. No, you're going to be 22 or 23 next year. You'll get signed based on how good you are at 23. You're not going to get more money because you have a great repeat junior year. It's not going to happen. So do we have 20 rounds? Somebody mumbles 20. That's all it is. It's a mumble because it's not a fact. This guy has not said what next year's draft is. It's not going to be 10 rounds. We don't know that either. So when you don't even know, and you have a scouting system in place that is the route to baseball, scouts are the route to baseball, and they're not even on the road because they don't know how many rounds. You're right. Nobody in the stands. Money's going to come down. The owners are going to tell the commissioner, shrink the draft and keep it shrunk. We don't have any money for that. So now what are we doing? We're going to be signing kids off the streets or off summer leagues. College coaches will go nuts. They're going to feel good about all the good players they're going to get, but they're not going to be able to protect them unless they say you got to be 21 before you can sign. So is it a mess? It's the biggest mess I've ever seen. I've never seen a pro sport doing so well go completely in the tank like baseball is right now.
Along that same line, how good is college baseball going to be this coming year, knocking on wood that we play it, with all these guys who returned that didn't get their year last year?
I honestly, Tommy, I think you're going to see great college baseball this year. Just knowing who leaked through the draft. A lot of kids overprice themselves, and they slip out of that first 5-round category, and then they don't get drafted, and they're sitting there going, oh, I said too much, or I shouldn't have used that agent, or whatever. But I wanted $1.7 million. Well, they offered me $1.2 million, but I turned it down. Well, guess what? You didn't get drafted, so you're not signing. And they're not giving you $1.2 million because they limited it to $20,000. So I think college baseball is loaded. I'm worried about not having fall baseball. I mean, all these conferences that are banging fall sports.
Now, that's not a done deal yet in the Big 12, though, right?
No, the Big 12 right now is still living and fighting for it, which is a good thing. But you lost 2 big leagues. You lost the Big 10 and you lost the Pac-12, right? So those schools banged fall sports, which is fall baseball.
Right.
Now, those are 2 really good conferences in baseball. The Big Ten has actually been a surprise how much better it's got. Well, no fall ball. What do you do? What do you do with your players? If they're going to take their classes at home, they're not even on campus, so you can't even work with them. So that's a mess. And, your power guys, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, I look for them to dominate college baseball.
I know you're looking forward to it in the time we have left, as is everybody. And you'll be broadcasting from the brand new place, O'Brate, and knocking on wood again. We'll have TV and all that. But that place, you've been some good places this summer. You've coached in some good places in the past. That one has to be close to the top, I would think.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The new ballpark in Amarillo, it's only 2 years old, and it is beautiful. Great layout. Great ideas, little like O'Brate has a bar in right center field, and of course people haven't been there yet, so they don't know that.
Right.
Well, they have one in left center down in Amarillo, and you talk about a wonderful atmosphere for the fans. Amarillo did it right. One Oak is good; it's very good, very nice. Very nice, wonderful place to watch a game. Okay. Being in and out of O'Brate probably 5, 6, maybe 7 times. And, of course, when I got back to town, the grass is in now out in front, which really pretties it up. I don't think there'll be a better venue in the country. I would think the next big-time power baseball school that wants to have a new stadium will come in here and copy it. Yeah. But, we have something really special. And, my only thought all summer was, man, when the college season ends, man, you got to figure out a way to use that place in the summer, bring some special events, because we have a special stadium.
And they probably will in the next summer. But I think the general feeling was we want the Cowboys to play in it for the first time and not have a showcase. I get that. And that's only fair to Oklahoma State baseball that they be the first people to walk in there. Next summer, I don't know, can maybe Matt and Robin talk to their friends in the pro world, try to bring a baseball game here someday. That'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
The Cardinals aren't that far away. The Royals aren't that far away. The Rangers aren't that. And the guy with Kansas City is a wonderful college guy. Dayton Moore, he's like one of those guys that wants everybody to be happy. And, to swing a game into that stadium may be a dream, maybe one of those dream come true, to Stillwater, Oklahoma. But, of course, I've been wondering why we haven't played an exhibition football game in the football stadium in Stillwater too, because
It's been a long time since that happened.
it would handle that too. But I don't know. Maybe those are just dreams. But when this stadium opens, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to just drift over there and watch practice. And of course, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Well, we're all looking forward to that. Hey, I appreciate you coming down. We covered a lot of stuff in a short period of time, as usual. But congratulations on a big summer. And when you write your book, that'll be another chapter, huh?
You may have to write the book. I'll give you the info.
You just give me
write
the
it.
info, and I'll put the words down. How's
Okay,
that sound?
you got it.
Tommy, I appreciate you coming in. Tom Holliday joining us. And